which was pretty awesome. And she won best in class pie, all that stuff. So anyway, it's stock show is a lot of fun. I like to do it with my kids, so that's why I wasn't here, and I apologize for that. So let's make up some ground, okay? We got a little fun today. We're gonna do something different. I'm actually gonna give you guys, might be a bit, this won't be redundant, but what we're working on might be a little redundant if you guys have taken, if you two have taken 481 or 42. I'm gonna give you a little precursor to what SOMS is like next year, okay? And there's a reason we're doing it, all right? So we'll see how it goes. Sound good? Okay, all right, let's see. See what you guys are made of, okay? Does anybody want to fly here? Always have at least, okay, perfect. This side, you guys are all pilots today, okay? You guys are all pilots. Sound good? Cool. Anybody bummed? No, good, because you're also pilots, but you're the commanding officer, okay? So this side of the room today, you guys are commanding officers. Got it? So follow along, because you each have a role. You guys are all pilots. Good? Anybody confused? Okay, good. It's early. You guys are pilots on an aircraft carrier. You guys are also pilots. You're more experienced pilots. You flew in World War II. Okay? We're in the Korean War. This is a forgotten war. Could probably be called World War III because while it was mostly us and Korea, China was involved, Russia was involved, all behind the scenes. There's a lot of interest in the peninsula. What's up, man? You're a pilot today, okay? Just so you know. Follow along, okay? In Korea, the climate, all right? A lot of mountains, high altitude. It's cold. It's nasty, all right? The enemy, there's a lot of them on the ground. A lot of them, mostly because China was involved and they were feeding people into Korea, okay? That's who the enemy is. Your role as pilots is to support the guys on the ground, okay? You guys are covering, you got superior air power, so we're helping the guys out on the ground providing cover. Okay. If you were to go down, if you guys crash, you're on your own. Okay. You better get to the ground, guys, and find them because your survival will depend on that. You crash, it's 1950. Okay. Our technology, although advanced, our rescue operations are not the same as they are today. Okay. Everybody good? All right. As pilots, you guys are absolutely rule followers. You guys set a good example. Your officers on the carrier. As a pilot, your background is someone who follows the rules to a T, always does the right thing, okay? All that good stuff sets a good example. You guys are in charge, okay? You're in charge of all the pilots, which means you're over the other officers, okay? So you have to hold accountability, hand out punishments if there is any, all that good stuff, okay? Reward those who do well. Plane is a very valuable asset, right? We need the planes. We don't like to lose planes. Valuable asset, okay? Just like people on the ground. We also got to take care of the people on the ground, okay, as best we can. Pilot, everyone's lives matter, but we got to take care of pilots because we trained you, all right? It took a lot of time and effort to train a pilot, and you matter, okay? Obviously, there's inherent risks. All right, pilots, and follow along, commanding officers, because all this comes back, okay? You guys are flying along, and your wingman's plane gets hit. Literally a magic bullet from the ground hits a hydraulic line. Your buddy is going down. He's also your best friend. Okay, so your best friend is in the plane next to you. He gets hit. You're flying in the mountains. This is not good, okay? You escort your wingman to a controlled crash, which means you're flying right along with him. You're talking to him. He's incredibly calm. You're amazed at how calm he is, but he crashes, okay? You still keep flying. All right, you see that he's alive, but he's not getting out of his plane. You can see him on the ground waving, but he is still in his cockpit. There's a little bit of smoke coming out, and he is not getting out. It's late in the afternoon. All right, time is working against you as the sun is going to start going down soon. It is freezing-ass cold in these mountains. You are at high elevation, right? Rescue chances are very low. You, as the pilot, what do you do? Okay, cool. You can't reach him over the radio. You can see him. You can see him waving his arm. You know he's alive. But for whatever reason, he is not responding on the radio.
You crash your plane right next to his.
Have you read the book?
No, but I've heard the story.
Okay. All right. Right out of the gate. Okay. Why did you decide to do that, Jacob? Did everybody hear him?
Crash your plane next to his.
Yep. Yeah. Why did you decide to do that without giving too much away?
He was clearly alive, and then, like you said, his rescue chances are very low, but there's probably a better chance of survival with two people in, dire situations rather than just one person, especially if he hasn't left his plane yet.
Okay.
Because something's wrong because he hasn't left his plane.
Yep. Were any of you jumping to that conclusion? Were you? Okay. You got it out of the gate. Okay, good.
I mean, I would have done one more pass to make sure that there's nobody in the immediate area.
They're in the area.
Or,
The enemy's in the area. They're not super close, but there's enemy all around.
all right, then you soften them up before you can do a controlled crash.
Okay. Is anybody shocked by what Jacob just said?
No,
No?
2 is 1, 1 is none.
Okay. I haven't had anybody get to this yet. Like, not that quickly, anyway. Okay. All right. So you decided to take the plane down. You just went against the orders, against the rules of what to do. Your best friend is stuck on the ground, and you can't take off. You control crash your plane, and to go to try and help him. Why?
Could you possibly, is there a place where you could possibly safely land and be close enough to get him in your plane?
That's basically what he tried to do, but the plane was damaged. You weren't gonna be able to take off. You're in the mountains, so you actually got pretty banged up in your controlled landing crash, but you're okay, and your adrenaline's pumping through you like nobody's business. Because now you're in enemy territory. You're on the ground, no plane. There's 2 of you, and your buddy's hurt and stuck in the cockpit. And you can't get him out. Okay. Who was anybody not gonna do that? Most people are not jumping to that conclusion. Zimmerman, no? Why? What are you doing?
I don't know exactly what I do, but I don't think crashing my plane would be the first thought.
Yeah.
Just making the rescue operations harder. Now you got 2 people on the ground.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Anyone else? Matthew, where were you at?
I've kind of read the story before.
Okay.
Parts of it at least.
Okay. Good. I'm glad.
I don't know. The hard part is it's like your best friend,
Yep.
but also you have the asset that's the plane and yourself that technically you need to get back if you're following orders.
Yeah. So you just ruined a perfectly good asset that wasn't damaged. Keep in mind. Okay. You also just put yourself on the ground. Okay. And rescue's still pretty low odds. Okay. All right. Jacob.
The thing is people are more likely to come get 2 people instead of 1.
They weren't gonna come get anybody. So they might not. They might be so. You guys might be so mad that he did that you're gonna be pissed.
Yeah, I think for me it's like, how do you scale that up? What if there's like 15 planes in the air? Are all 14 of you going to crash?
Right. Right. Okay. So you just gotta keep putting planes on the ground.
Crashing planes in the
Right.
ground.
Right. Fair enough. Okay. Yeah. Why?
But as a pilot, you can also have the mentality, leave no man behind.
Yeah.
And so you feel like that was the best decision. Go down there and let's try to save him. And if not, I'm not my best friend.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. All right. I'll give you that. If all the other pilots start doing that, good or bad?
We lost the war.
It's going south real quick, right? All of a sudden we got 4 planes crashed on the mountain because one dude got shot down. Okay, tough situation, right? And rescue operations, again, not great. You're such a high altitude, we're not even sure the helicopter can get there. Okay? Who, by the way, is on the carrier a long ways away, out in the ocean. Okay, Matthew?
I think something else that isn't really thought about is if you were to go back to the carrier, that's one more support plane you have the next day to go back and get him if he's still alive.
Right.
But that's the hard part is like, is he still alive? You won't know until it.
Yeah, he's supposed to survive on his own, right? Even though he's not getting out of his cockpit, it's up to him to make it through the night, and we'll get you in the morning, in theory. Okay. Yeah, I'll take that. Aurora, what are you doing?
To be honest, I don't know if my first thought would have been crash.
Probably not.
It's like, yeah, it would have been situational. Like if there's 14 other planes around me, probably not. To be honest, like.
Yeah.
But I also don't really get emotionally attached to people.
You also what?
So I don't know. I'm a very like non-emotionally attached person. So
Screw that guy. Best friend? Do you have a best friend?
I do, but
Okay,
like,
your best friend's on the ground.
yeah, but that's like one of those like leadership decisions, you know, like if there's more people involved, like I don't know. I guess I'll cope with that loss.
You'll go what?
I guess I'll cope with that loss when I get there.
Okay.
It's a contractual friendship.
Okay. But there was a slight change here, I think, though, right? When I mentioned best friend, you're like, yeah. Like, so if it's someone you don't know or care about, you're good. You're like, hey, buddy, we'll try to get you in the morning. But if it's your best friend, you're looking at it a little differently?
I mean, obviously, just like because of who I am as a person, but like that, I don't know. Like I said, that's just kind of one of those decisions you have to make in that position. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Look, of course, this is hypothetical until I get you guys all through pilot training and you all become COs and everything, right? Okay. Obviously, it's the best we can do today. Okay. But, and that's, look, this is theoretical, but we're taking what we work on as the kind of people we are and want to be as leaders and see what we do in these situations. And it's not easy. It's well, I don't know if Jacob actually would have done that without knowing the story. Okay, we don't know. But he knows what happened here a little bit, so we're going to find out. Okay? Noah, what are you doing?
I mean, like other people, I don't think my first thought would be to crash.
Okay?
Honestly, my first thought was, like, is it better to just drop a bomb on your buddy, make sure nobody else gets him?
Right. You don't want to get tortured, right? Yeah. Yeah. So that's no joke, okay? An absolute realistic thought to have in that situation, okay? And we're better to put our buddy out of misery, okay? So he doesn't give up information, so he doesn't get tortured, he doesn't get killed by the enemy, whatever, okay? Absolutely, okay? Yeah, a little creepy, but good job. Andres, what are you doing?
Probably go back to the carrier, see if we can get him in the morning.
Okay. All right.
Really
So
wanna risk
we're even a little split, okay? But what you guys ultimately decide to do is what Jacob said, is you crash your plane, you're trying to go get your buddy, okay? So it's gonna come back to you guys here. All right, so you guys, you got other aircraft in the area, and you fly up to a higher altitude so you get better contact with the aircraft carrier, and you're trying to coordinate the rescue. So you got 3 other planes circling, you got 2 planes on the ground, you guys are talking to the aircraft carrier, and for reference, you lost your brother in World War II, who got shot down and was MIA. They never found World War II over the ocean. Okay, so you're a very experienced pilot. You hate losing pilots, right? You don't like losing planes, but you certainly hate losing pilots. Okay, you're coordinating a rescue. You get to the aircraft. You're communicating with the aircraft carrier. They get a helicopter in the air. Okay, that's coming to try to get them. No guarantee they can even make it to altitude. So as you come back to the rest of the formation, you see 2 aircrafts on the ground. Okay, not real happy. Your rule follower just crashed his plane to try and rescue his buddy. Okay, fuel and daylight are working against you and the other planes in the area. And again, your rule follower just went against direct orders. Okay. So pilot on the ground says, "Buddy's alive. He's stuck in the plane. We need an axe. We can't get him out. His leg is pinned. He's obviously injured pretty bad." You tell the rescue helicopter to go back and get an axe, losing precious time. This is how much rescue operations have changed. We had helicopters, not even an axe on board. Okay, which now there's everything on there, okay, to get people out. Right. The helicopter arrives. You don't get him out. Okay, he lands, he brings an axe. You run it back and forth. By the way, the plane is almost catching fire in the front, and you throw snow on there to put the engine out. Okay. Eventually, you realize your buddy's gone. Okay. You can't get him out, and if you stay with him, you're going to die. Helicopter pilot says, "We got to go, or we're all going to die. We're high altitude, running low on fuel, and we're out of daylight." Okay. You get back. You're a mess, right? You just lost your best friend. Okay, you went against the rules. You broke a lot of rules, put your life at risk, ruined the aircraft, everything. What do you think is going to happen to you?
At worst, you're gonna get kicked out.
What?
I said at worst, you're probably gonna get kicked out on top of a bunch of other charges.
Yeah, okay. You get kicked out of the Navy, okay. Other charges against you. Why?
So
also 1950, so depending on your superior officer, he could congratulate you for trying to leave no man behind.
Okay.
Especially during that time,
We'll see.
stuff could be covered underneath pretty easily. Like really, they could just throw stuff underneath the bed and no one would know.
What do you mean?
Like the documents and the report, they'd write something completely different depending on your officer.
Could. It's all documented because you've been talking to people. You could. Okay. Whether that's the ethical thing to do, right?
Right.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. So what do you think's going to happen to you? Hold on, Jacob. I don't want you to give anything away.
Also depend, like they said, depending on your officer, just a slap on the wrist
Okay. Could be.
and just maybe suspension for a couple weeks.
Okay. So maybe a mild punishment. We'll find out. Okay. Zimmerman, what do you think's going to happen to you?
I'd probably expect to never be able to fly again.
Okay. Grounded. Okay. Hannah?
Either that or just like basically sent on the first wave out.
Yeah. Okay. You're getting sent home?
Oh no, just like to fight.
Oh, right back in it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, man, get back to work? Okay. I'll take it. Jacob?
Yeah, probably like the worst thing that could happen, like at that time that I would be thinking of is like a court-martialing.
Okay.
Best case scenario, yeah, it's probably like sweeping it under the rug. But I would probably be expecting to be grounded for a little bit.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Now it's decision time for you guys. What are you doing with the pilot?
Well, I'm not letting him fly again.
Not flying?
No.
Okay.
Because,
Grounded.
yeah.
Okay.
Depends on his ability. Is he like the best pilot in the wing? Or
He's a damn good pilot. He's one of your best.
I put him on hiatus.
Hiatus, so he just can't fly for a while?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or at least until I can figure out what else to do.
Until what?
We can figure out what else to do.
What do you mean?
I mean, well, I mean, it's, so if I objectively look at the scenario,
Okay. But you should.
a plane went down,
Yep.
he couldn't get in contact with anyone else, somebody reports that we know the plane went down.
Yeah.
His buddy crashes his plane, the only, I don't know particularly know why, other than to maybe help his buddy out.
Yeah, you're pretty shocked at the fact that
The
one of
only
your best
really
pilots
bad-
decided to just crash his plane.
The only real gain is that they found out that they need an axe to get him out of his cockpit, which I think is pretty fair to assume you might need to help somebody get out of a cockpit if they crash, which then so then I don't even know how like the helicopter going back for the axe is like an actual thing. Like I don't know how people can actually be like, oh, wreckage, that doesn't exist. So really it cost us an extra plane for the information that an axe was needed.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was it.
Okay.
He wasn't doing anything else.
Uh-huh. So what are you doing?
But yeah, that was it, that's it. So then like, that cost us a plane to know that we needed an axe, and it still wasn't enough.
Okay. And so your only punishment with all of that is he can't fly for a while?
Well, because the intention behind his actions was to help his buddy.
Okay. So you're gonna weigh that out?
Yeah,
You think that was noble to try and help his friend
Yeah.
even though it cost us?
even though it was costly
Yep.
and unnecessary.
Okay. Okay. Where we at? William, you agree?
I don't know, I'm kind of torn because on one hand, it was a very stupid decision because your plane's gonna be faster than your helicopter. You could have easily gotten in radio communication range with the boat and told him that he's stuck in there, and they could have brought the axe in the first place, and he could have gone back.
Well, you didn't know. You just knew he wasn't getting out.
Yeah, but at the same time, if he's not getting out of his plane, he's either injured or he's stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And so, logically speaking, you're gonna go back and tell him you need a first aid kit and an axe for one of those two situations.
Yeah.
So crashing that plane, you essentially lost 4 assets, at least temporarily.
Uh-huh.
You for sure lost 3. So it really just rescue operation for the pilot that intentionally crashed his plane at that point. So on one hand, it's like, yeah, if he's a really good pilot, the actions were, okay, yeah, noble, and his track record is a rule follower and a pretty damn good pilot, but this stupid decision was very costly for the war effort.
Mhm.
And so, on one hand, yeah, it's like grounding would be, I can see that happening, but a part of me is torn in saying that he should probably be either sent home or detained for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay. All right. So you're going more severe punishment.
probably.
Okay. Cool. Where you guys at? Joshua? though you're saying he was willing to risk a lot, but I'm still gonna punish him for what he did?
I think, yeah, just he knew he was gonna risk maybe being severely punished because he knew like that he was risking his life and making a bad decision.
Okay.
On top of risking his life.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Katie, what do you got?
Probably in the same boat as like just putting him on a very long hiatus, probably with more decision making training through like simulations or something of the sort. Because
Okay.
again, I'm not an expert in the military by any means, I'm not contracting. So I'd assume if you're going under an operation, you have a set amount of rules of
Yep.
how you're gonna go do things. Like probably a very lot amount of rules, right?
Yeah.
And you need to trust in your pilots. Like this is exactly how we're gonna carry out these types of decisions. You need to know under these scenarios, this is what's gonna happen. And then if one of my best pilots just goes completely like off the scenario, A, I'm shocked. B, probably extremely pissed. And so he went off. He made these decisions. I'm angry. Comes back. It's on my desk now. And so he broke the rules. Hold on, I'm trying to think. I had such a good thought process, and then we started going ahead with these rules, and I was like, wow, there's some good ideas.
Well, okay, so what do you mean by that?
But
Where were you before they started talking?
yeah, I'm trying to get back there.
Okay.
So he broke the rules. Of course, I'd be angry. Can you come back to me? I'll get it.
Yeah?
Okay.
You bet. Where are you guys at?
I think he's gonna, well, I wouldn't send him home, but I think he'd be doing office work for a while.
Okay.
Because he's a good pilot, so I don't want to send him home or kick him out.
Okay.
Because I might need him.
So he screwed up, you're gonna punish him, but you don't wanna send him home because you're gonna probably need him again.
Yeah, but at the same time, he ruined a perfectly good asset.
Yep.
I mean, it was noble that he did it to help his friend, but he ruined a perfectly good asset. So, and if he just did that when his friend got injured, how do I know how he's gonna react now that his friend is died because of the enemy's actions? Like, I don't know if he'll be emotionally stable or whatever.
Okay.
So I don't want him flying.
Okay, I mean, you lose pilots in war, it's gonna happen. Right, you've already lost, before this, they've lost at least one, I think they've lost two. And so you're gonna lose people, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So that, I mean, nature of the beast being in war.
Yeah,
So where are you at then? Does that impact your decision at all?
I was gonna say, yeah, you'll lose people, but this guy decided to crash a plane because his friend went down.
Okay.
So how do I know what he's gonna do now that his friend just died as a result of enemy actions?
Yeah, okay, so you're looking at, I think, if I have this right, so you're looking at potentially losing two lives, right? Because of what he decided.
And another plane.
Yeah, and a plan, okay? Keegan?
Severe. I don't know like how to quantify it, but he's definitely not gonna fly again.
Okay.
Just because I mean, if everyone went off based off like what they thought rather than what the rules are, we're gonna lose the war.
Okay, what do you mean?
I mean, if everyone went off what they thought was right, like in the moment, first of all, you're not thinking right because it's in the moment, so you don't have time to like tactfully think. And then second of all, like there's rules and regulations based on performance and stuff. So if everyone just did the same error, like we said earlier, like if one plane crashed and if everyone crashed their plane, we're just be down planes.
Okay.
So he crashed his plane and he wasn't successful, which wasn't his fault, but I mean, if another pilot did the same thing, we'd be down two planes.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just losing assets without gain.
Okay.
And as we said, we're already gonna lose people in war, so he just put himself to lose another person and a plane.
Okay. So severe punishment. William?
Question. How did he find out about the second plane crashing? He didn't know about the first plane crashing.
You came back. So you flew up a little higher over the mountains and talked to the carrier, and then you circled back to see what was going on, and you see the other plane on the ground, and your other pilots tell you that he crash landed. Hold on. Don't lose your thoughts.
Yeah, coming to the conclusion, rules are king. So I said rules are king, and then I'd rather control loss through protocols, so I know how situations are going to play out, rather than, okay, we have one plane down, two planes, is that a third plane going down? What the hell is going on here? Like, so I'd rather know how we're going to handle situations, so I'm aware of a more strict decision-making basis, rather than having to make more plans on the fly, because more people are just going off their own wills instead of the set rules we made.
Okay. Cool. Something to add, William?
I would just say that I think it's ruling strictly by the rules is a little bit dangerous sometimes. Cause
Say that again.
I think ruling strictly by the rules, like
Ruling by the rules?
by the letter, like to the ink on the paper is a little bit dangerous
Why?
It removes flexibility.
Okay.
In war, you can plan all you want, and you can plan everything to the rules, but everything's gonna hit the fan as soon as it starts. And so you gotta be able to follow the rules, but do it in a flexible manner. So commanders gotta know when to bend the rules a little bit.
Mike Tyson has the famous quote, something to the effect of everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah.
Right? I can't do his list. HB, where you at? Don't lose your thoughts. I'm coming right back to you guys.
I mean, so you don't want to set the precedent that crashing planes is a good idea.
Okay.
And at the same time, you don't want to set the precedent of it's good to have a pilot that only looks after themselves.
What do you mean?
If you start hardcore reprimanding people for doing noble actions, and to what most people would consider a noble action, you're going to start creating a culture in your organization of, okay, I'm just going to follow the rules because I'm just going to get my ass chewed out. And so I think, at least for me in this decision, it would be a meritorious promotion to office work, because he's not flying again.
Okay, so you're not going to let him fly, but you're going to give him an award?
Yeah. Because I think, especially when it comes to the Medal of Honor, you'll see SEALs will do stuff that's kind of against protocol, like running back into buildings.
Sure.
To save people,
Mm-hmm.
when that's not necessarily the best idea because you can lose a SEAL right there.
Shit. Right? If anybody has read Dan Crenshaw's book, he says, don't get blown up, it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he said right after he got blown up. Wyatt, where you at?
Well, just like like he was saying, the Hacksaw Ridge, the guy wasn't supposed to go back up there. I think that's the movie.
Yeah.
Private Dawson.
Conscientious objector, right? Wouldn't fire a weapon.
He wouldn't fire a weapon. He wasn't supposed to go back up there. And how many lives did he save?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the other pilot was just thinking, maybe, just maybe, I can get him out of there.
Okay.
Maybe I can save his life. And that's another pilot we can have.
Okay. Yep.
On that note, there's an excerpt in the Sailor's Creed that reads as, I proudly served my Navy's combat team with honor, courage, and commitment.
Uh-huh.
So one can make the argument that he was following the core tenets of the Navy by going back for his friend.
Hold it. What do you got?
It was kind of along the same lines as all that. Just you hear the stories about people running into a firefight and down a street with bullets flying all around them. Is that the smartest idea? No. Do they get shot? Yeah, sometimes. But at the end of the day, they were just trying to get somebody out of there.
Okay.
I mean, for those, it's a little bit. He's crashing a plane, so there was a good chance that he wouldn't have actually survived the crash.
Totally put his life at risk.
Yeah, and I mean, it is honorable and stuff, and he should be, rewarded for at least having that good intention. But at the same time, there should be something to say hey, think a little bit before you do this. Kind of weigh the options and.
Okay. They weighed him.
They did. But,
They weighed him in a hurry.
I was
Okay.
gonna-
Hold on. Don't lose your thoughts. Zimmerman.
I think different for me from this situation, as opposed to someone running back into a firefight to grab somebody out, is this pilot crashing his plane. He has no plan to get that other guy out. Maybe he can help him last another 5 minutes if he's getting surrounded by enemies, right? Maybe he can save his life, but he's not getting him out of the danger, right? He's just making the situation worse, in my opinion. In a firefight, you're running back in, you're gonna drag that guy out. You're not just going there to sit with him.
How's that any different?
Well, I think it's
Say the guy only has a broken ankle. So, can you get him out of there?
Yeah. Put a splint
well,
on
yeah,
it.
but you're still stuck in the middle of nowhere.
You are.
And you just
But
doubled
did
you just doubled the rescue operation difficulty.
You did, but did you increase the odds of him surviving?
Possibly.
Probably.
Well, but if you crash 14 planes, that would increase the chance of survival too.
You're right. Then you got an army on the
Yeah,
ground.
you got you get the whole battalion.
Yeah. Okay. Screw the planes,
Is
right?
Would it be similar to Mogadishu?
What about Moog?
Just the situation in general where, one person went down, obviously, one Black Hawk went down, so many people came in,
Uh-huh.
and then obviously it wasn't the same situation. They didn't choose to crash, but they did, and then more people voluntarily started coming back in to, increase the survivability of the situation, which ended up, being what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that's kind of what I would compare it to. There's situations like this that have happened, and at the end of the day, you see a lot of people making decisions like this, some good, some bad. But were they wrong for doing that? Were they
Deep thought.
I feel like there's a way.
Deep thought from Marine. What do you got?
Yeah, big thing.
I feel like there's a way to not consolidate. I don't know. Solve the issue between that difference, and that's really just lies in the thought process of the pilot. This guy's gonna roll the dice on crashing his plane, which he could die, and then he'd just be a dead idiot. He'd be a brave, moral, dead idiot who crashed his plane next to his buddy, or he crashes his plane, he gets out, then he has to help his buddy, and then he probably doesn't have the tools to help his buddy get out of his plane, because he crashed his own plane, which also leaves him with shit out of luck and in a worse situation. Or he crashes his plane, he gets his buddy out of the plane, and he's successful, but the odds of survival have only increased how much? And they still have to get that rescue mission going on. It seems like this is it's an extreme decision made in a bad situation.
Yeah. It's a shitty situation.
Out of the worst situation possible.
Anyway,
wouldn't it be better to follow protocol to make a better situation, to help on the rescue mission?
See, William?
I don't know. You guys mentioned that it's bad to kind of create a culture of just like straight rule followers, but it's also bad to create a culture of hero complexes. And it's a little different than running into a firefight to grab a guy out because those people are trained in ground combat, whereas my pilot, he's most effective up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
They never necessarily gotten training to combat the enemies from behind enemy lines without any resources, without any tools. And so basically,
He's got a pistol.
okay,
He's got a
but
pistol in the
you would also
training.
crash your plane and now you're injured too. Say you could necessarily be injured worse than your buddy is. So now you're really injured.
Good.
And he's stuck and can't help you.
Good. That's your
so
best friend on the ground.
And so I would rather have my plane and my pilot who's trained to fly in the air where he's most effective.
Okay? What was your thought? Okay. Why?
You say that we went short, we crashed. We never talked about there's other planes with us, correct?
There's other planes in the air.
So, let's say I communicated with them, hey, I'm going down to save this guy, recon back to the aircraft,
Yep.
give me a helicopter here now.
Yeah, to try and figure out why he's not getting out of the aircraft.
So
you
we
can
could've
see
had
that
a
he's
game
alive.
plan.
He's not getting out of his plane. So he is alive.
So you're saying that we're going down and we have no support, but we're talking to the aircraft up right above us. They're
Yep.
sitting there flying right above us.
Yep.
They're watching, they can say, hey.
So now he can communicate. His radio works. So which is how they need to go back and get the X.
So, let's say Charlie's coming in, you got 3 airplanes, I doubt they're really gonna press that hard when they're getting gunned and bombed down with 3 aircraft.
Until the planes go home and the sun goes down.
Have more sit there and go, take rotation.
We don't have NVGs yet. There's no night vision.
Well, I mean, when the sun
Hold on.
goes down.
Matt, you had something to say?
I was just gonna throw out there that pilots do go through pretty extensive training on how to survive if they go down.
Now they do.
Actually, yeah.
Not
I
great
don't know
back
if
then. They
back
did. They absolutely did land survival. Okay, not nearly as extensive as what it is today. I've been through survival school. It's fantastic. Okay, it's the only time in the Air Force when they can put their hands on you. Okay, this stuff is classified. I can't tell you. I'd have to kill you, which I can do with my pinky. Not really, but I can't tell you a lot of stuff. But it is no joke, all right, of what they do now. And there's different types of detention. There's peacetime detention, which you can read all about it, and then there's POW, and then terrorism. Okay, and they escalate quickly, and we went through all those. What do you got?
So my argument is that if the sun goes down, that's actually better for you because nobody's going to be out in the middle of the night on top of the mountains looking for somebody.
That's exactly when they don't have planes flying overhead. That's exactly when they'll go out.
Okay.
It's just their home turf.
They know the land.
Yeah. Trent, what you got?
I was gonna say it's also still snowing, so the night would be very bad for somebody.
It's getting cold fast. Okay, sun's going down, climate's not good. You actually see footprints in the snow. You don't know if it's the enemy or just people who live there, but you see footprints in the snow. Okay, and there are shots not that far away because he got shot down.
Yeah, this is kind of like just making the best bad decision that can be made in this opportunity.
The best bad decision. Okay, good. Hoover?
I don't know. I'm still stuck on
What's eating you up about
I'm
this?
still stuck on the fact that we're rolling the dice multiple times for information that could be deduced from the situation. Like,
How though?
okay, so a plane goes down and you radio that your buddy's not getting out of the plane.
Yeah, they all know that. They know he's alive and they know he's not getting out.
Then why do they need to crash the plane to figure out that they need an axe?
Why isn't he getting out of the plane?
Yeah, why is it? It could
He's
be
he's not talking to us. We see him waving. We see him alive.
He's either dead or he's stuck.
He's not dead. We know he's alive.
Okay, so then he's stuck.
Right.
Then it's easy to deduce that we need an axe.
When
So
you're
if he's
flying
stuck-
overhead in the mountains, it's pretty hard to tell. You
He's
see his
stuck.
planes banged up, and you see him alive waving his arms. So we know he's at least okay enough to be conscious and waving his arms around. So we know something is wrong, but we don't know what.
And he needs to get out of his plane, which means that we're going to have to bring gear to get him out of his plane. Most
Right.
likely.
Which, again, rescue helicopters coming, but again, not as much gear on there. William, don't lose your thought.
I think it's important to that pilot should put more faith in the rescue operation. So like he said, you can see he's stuck and he's alive, and so he is okay for the moment. And so
Yeah.
you should at least attempt to try the rescue first before taking the most severe action. And
Okay.
also the other thought I had before I lost my train of thought, the other thing was that these drastic actions that get medals on or whatnot, those are all good, but it's because typically they result in something good happening, like they're saving someone's life. And so when you award someone for a drastic action, their results are also something you have to consider. So if you
What about people who die and get it after they're dead?
they typically did it for a purpose to save someone else's life.
How are what they doing any different?
Because he wasn't successful.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's
and
the
so-
difference?
And so the difference is that now if you wasted
So
resources.
just because you got lucky and the guy survived?
I mean, it's one of those things where, it's a hard decision.
Oh shit.
And as a commander, like, if he saves the guy, that's great. Now you've got 2 more pilots, but now you've got 1 pilot and 2 down planes. And so, if you want to reward him for that, you're rewarding him for kind of a stupid decision. But if you were to save him, now you're rewarding him for saving a life. So it's.
Okay, hold on. We're gonna run out of time, so go quick. Hannah, what do you got?
Definitely, we've talked about the intent and like the letter of the law, and essentially, like if looking at the intent, the pilot is in the right. He had the right intent. How he went about it went against protocol. So if
Okay.
there is any punishment, it should be against the protocol, not the intent.
Okay.
Because if you punish the intent, then you've encouraged every other pilot, man for himself. If you go down, good luck, essentially.
Okay.
So, at least in my opinion, you can definitely, any punishment you give to him about breaking down assets, all this time and fuel wasted, per se, you can, punishment definitely makes sense to me. But to punish the intent, and, you
Can you
weren't in
separate
that.
the two? Can you separate the two?
Yes.
Okay. Jeffrey.
I don't think anyone's really addressed the concern of, okay, well, if we're gonna say this is overall a good action, then how many planes are you willing to crash into the side of the mountain to potentially save this guy's life?
Okay.
I haven't really heard anybody.
Nobody else went down.
Yeah. One guy.
Only
died.
one went down.
You got
And
2
nobody
guys
else
that-
did. Nobody else made that decision. And we got some information out of it. Apparently not enough, but we got some. Jacob.
So, to your point, he's obviously not getting out of the plane. Yes, it could be because he's stuck, or it's because his legs are just totally broken. If you crash your plane, you could have, aided him and, maybe provided some medical assistance, like basic medical assistance. Maybe he couldn't even apply his own tourniquets. There is that potential to still save his life. At the end of the day, you didn't save his life. That's why you didn't get a medal. That's why you're getting reprimanded. If you had saved his life, yeah, you probably would have gotten off scot-free and gotten a medal or 2 for it. But at the end of the day, in the actual story itself, he put a beanie on. You put a beanie on him. You put a blanket over him. You make him as comfortable as he can. He's your best friend. You make him as comfortable as he can in his final moments. And is that worth it to you to suffer those consequences?
Yeah. How are you gonna sleep at night? Quickly, Trent.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, back to the Medal of Honor thing, there's probably a bunch of people that do that crazy stuff, like go behind enemy lines, try to flank like a machine gun and stuff, and they just get shot down and no one hears about it. So it is a lot about results when they get rewarded. Because
Okay.
a dumb decision could just be, or a brave decision could just be shoved under the rug and nothing happens from it.
Okay. Wyatt, quickly.
Like you said about how many planes are you willing to crash, but if Black Hawk down, how many people will run long
What's more important, a life or an asset? Yeah.
And you put another life at risk to save one.
Sure you do. Sure you do. This is a true story. This is Ensign Jesse Brown. He was the Navy's first black carrier pilot. Jesse's the one who got shot down. Jesse grew up a sharecropper's son in the South, grew up dirt poor, overcame incredible odds to become an officer in the Navy. He went to Ohio State. You only had to go to school for 2 years to get a commission back then. He went to Ohio State because Jesse Owens had gone there. Even though he was from the South, he went up to school to Ohio State for a couple years. All he wanted to do his whole life was fly airplanes, even as a little kid, not knowing anything about it. Right? Jesse's the one that got shot down. His best friend grew up very wealthy. Grew up in the Northeast. Dad went to Harvard, successful business owner, country clubs in the summer, all that good stuff. Okay. In a time when there were no other black pilots on the aircraft carrier, they became best friends. Okay. That's Tom Hudner getting the Medal of Honor for what he did. That's Jesse Brown's wife and the President of the United States. That was the first time they ever met, was that day. Okay. Hudner's reasoning was, that's my best friend down there. I know he's alive, and he can't get out of his airplane. And in the moment of all the rule following and being a good pilot and being a good officer, what he thought was, I am not going to let my best friend die down there alone. Put his own life at risk. Forget the airplane. I don't care. That's my friend, and that's a life. Went down to try and save him. Learned about the acts, tried to get him out. Jesse was banged up bad. Probably broke his back. His leg, one of his legs was pinned in. They couldn't get him out. He was alive, and he was fading by the minutes. But he was completely alive and conscious when Hudner got there. And his plane was also about to burst into flames, which meant Jesse would have burned to death. Okay? But he threw snow on there. The helicopter pilot, the only reason that guy even flew up there to get him is because he knew who those guys were. Helicopter pilot was this crazy dude, and they were like, the helicopter probably can't even fly at that altitude. And he said, nope, I know those guys, I'm going after them. Okay, went up there and got him. Finally told Hudner, we're not going to get out of here if we don't leave now, and Jesse's gone. Okay. The commanding officer, because he lost his brother in World War II, it bothered him deeply to lose another pilot. Yeah, he was upset, I'm sure, okay, about the airplane. None of that really mattered. This dude completely put his own life at risk, right? He did risk it. He did ruin the asset. But he went down there to try and save another life, okay? Wouldn't have known anything. Jesse would have died alone, okay? Instead, he died with his best friend. Okay? Bit of a difference to me.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What do you think about that choice?
It's not what I think. My job is not to influence you with my opinion. My job is to get you guys to think for yourself.
Okay, well then, do you, I guess, know the rationale besides just, I lost my brother?
Yeah, when the commanding officer who was also in the air got back to the aircraft carrier, again, keep in mind this is post-World War II, all right? So the wounds are fresh. We've lost a lot of people, okay, between World War II and we're losing people in Korea, including a lot on the ground, right? They could not believe what he did to risk his own life. Yeah, he wasn't successful, but he absolutely put himself in harm's way to try to save a buddy. That's a selfless act of heroism. It was not about a medal. It wasn't about anything other than, that's my friend. He's not going to die alone. I'm going to do whatever I can to get him. However irrational it was. You guys brought it up. Run into a firefight? Not smart. Okay? Not smart. That's your buddy. All right? And you guys brought it up about following the rules or not. Okay? We have rules. We're supposed to follow them. Sometimes we're not. Okay, yeah, if everybody starts crashing, different scenario, right? Is it worth it or not? We don't know. If they save his life, it sure as hell is. It sure as hell is. In my book. That would be my opinion.
Did he get reprimanded at all?
No.
Nothing.
No. They gave him the Medal of Honor.
Okay.
Yeah. He thought he was going to get kicked out of the Navy. He thought, I'm never going to fly again. Everything he worked for, his dad wanted to go to Harvard and run the grocery store chain, all that stuff. He wanted to serve his country. He wanted to fly. He never thought he would do it again. He was in total shock and disbelief. He was also horribly heartbroken. Yes, sir.
I think whoever brought up like how the situation ended would greatly affect how the story is told. Because I think like even though he didn't end up saving the guy's life, he brought up how like the helicopter would have a hard time flying at altitude and stuff. So let's say they got him out of the plane, right? Now there's 2 guys on the ground, and now the rescue helicopter can't take off because it's got more weight there. So
No, the weight wasn't an issue. Not an issue at all. 200 pounds isn't going to matter. I can see where you're going, but it's not going to matter.
Well, but I was thinking, it's like there's but any hypothetical situation, right? So like it all depends on how it ends. What if they? You know,
It ended poorly, right?
Well,
Still
not
lost.
Not as poorly as it could have.
You're correct. You are correct. But you guys talk about selfless service in the Corps, right? I can't imagine anything more selfless than this. The odds of Hudner dying were high, right? He didn't care. He didn't care about his life. He cared about his buddy. This is 481 and mostly 482. We get into right versus right ethics. Right versus wrong is easy. You know it. You see it all the time. Hard. You guys nailed it. Okay. Hard decisions. Right. Being in a situation. It depends. Of course it does. You don't know what you're going to do until you're in that situation. But you can't do 2 different things. If you have to do one or the other. If you decide to crash and risk it, you made that decision. Going and landing your plane is out. If you go and land your plane, the rest of your days you're wondering about what happened to Jesse Brown, your best friend on the ground who died alone. Okay? This is a book that is phenomenal. There is way more to it. It covers what happens on the ground, everybody's role, by Adam Makos, who wrote A Higher Call, which is a really popular book from World War II. It covers both sides, German and American air war over Europe. Devotion is a true story. It is an incredible read. It will absolutely pull you in. I highly recommend it if you want to get the whole story about who they were and all the details and everything that happened. But the reason I brought it up is to see what we will do in these situations. Okay? Almost all of you, except for HB, and even touched on it, you were going to punish the pilot. But did you ever think, holy shit, that dude almost, I mean, yeah, he risked his life, but he risked his life for another human being. Most of you were like, rules, 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 assets, assets, assets. Okay? That pilot and that life are far more valuable than, we can build another plane. Right? Okay.
I mean, by that logic, you can birth another human being.
A lot slower process. It's going to take me about 30 years. Okay? We can be out of the war by then. Okay? HB, killing me, man. Did we learn anything today? Did we change anybody?
I mean, there's a big like parallel.
I wanna hold
It's
you.
also a separation between the morality of the action and then the execution of it.
Yeah, okay. This is all about your own morals and ethics.
Yeah.
And how you are going to handle the hard situation. That's the part that you have to justify. Are you going to sleep well at night or not? Okay? I don't want to hold you guys over. If you got to go, you got to go.